Okay, so we're just continuing moving on here. We need to label our spaces so we know what they are and what their sizes are. That should be relatively straightforward since we put in room separators already when we did the ceiling plan. We have walls in place. It should go pretty quick. So we're going to go first. I want to take you into the annotate area, and you'll find that there's an area called room tag. If you click on this room tag area right here and you bring that in, nothing is going to happen. Okay, so while it's a note and an annotation, you have to go a different route with this. Okay, so cancel out of that and go to the architectural tab, and then you'll find in this blue area you have rooms, room separators, and room tags. We're going to go with rooms. We're going to start defining rooms. That's the first thing. So if I come into room and I place it here, it is going to put that right in there. And it's just to say room. I mean, it will. But I want to do more. So let me change it from room to room tag with area. Now, there's one here for volume as well. Volume is used for HVAC, the heating and ventilating and cooling. So we know how much air has to be treated. We would do that on a mechanical plan. This is the one I want you to use is the one with the area. So room tag with area. And when we do that, now it's going to give me the square footage of that. Now it's going to say 0 right here. But as soon as I place that, I get the square footage for that space. And I'm just going to work through this become the, I got a little problem there. I thought we had that fixed. Okay, we'll come back to that one. We'll do the pantry. Living room's got a problem. I thought we had this fixed. I guess not. So we can't do that one either because see how the living room is flowing into the hallways and the kitchen flows into the hallway. I missed a spot. So we can do the laundry. We can do this closet. We can do this powder room. We can do this dining room. We can definitely do the home office / guest room. There's another closet there. Master bath is in good shape. A little toilet room. There's a little laundry there. That's be a little tight. Another closet here. The his or hers, the master. And so the rest of it I've got I can do the entryway. Cool. Entryway is all good. So these guys are just not cooperating. So we got to fix those. So we'll go ahead and place that. So now they have room names, and we got to fix this. So that's going to be done with the room separator. And we're just going to go right across this line. For some reason, it didn't hold it. And so we're just going to put those back in. So we put one there, and then to cut another one through here. You can pick a line too if you'd like, but I find it's a little easier if you just draw your line. So separate this one out, and we'll put another one right here. Just saying, hey, the warning is just you can't see it. Now, once I've got that, let's try that again. Architecture, room, and oh look, that's so much better. Kitchen. Well, we got a nook. Maybe I should divide that up more while I'm at it. If I'm doing it, might as well do it right. Another room separator. We're just going to run it right across here. And call it good. So we'll have the nook, the kitchen, the living room, and hallway. Now everything's labeled. Now this is not labeled here. So because of that, because there's not a wall, and so I would have to create that room. So if I'm looking here, that would be a room separator line. If I draw it right across here, then I should be able to go back in, and now I can label the porch. Okay, so you can use those lines. They act like walls. The front porch, however, doesn't have that. If I can try and place it, it's in a say the room is not properly enclosed and it's going to fight me on it. So I'm going to just take that out. Maybe. And again, your room separator will let the line act as if there's a wall there. And so you can label your porches. Not everybody does the porch labeling. I kind of like to because it's still space that's used. And we can't forget the garage. That should have. Now do the same thing on your basement and your second floor if you have one. And now here's the next part we got to do. Now I got to label everything. So we come back in, double click on the font. This one is going to be the family room. And we're going to do it. There's the family room there. This is going to be, this is going to call it patio. Yeah, we'll call it patio. It's good enough. Then we have a breakfast nook. And I'm just going to call that a nook. And then here's the kitchen. And we'll just go through and get these all labeled. This is the pantry. Pantries are kind of one of the, oops, opened that too much. Double click too many times. So I'm going to change that. Pantry. And moving down here, we have a laundry. Now you can put laundry room. You can put, if we don't know their room by now, it's kind of too late. So I usually don't do that. This would be the powder room. Powder's a powder room. I'm just going to call it powder. That's close enough. This is a coat closet. So I just going to do, because it's by the kind of the mudroom. So we'll just call that a coat. So abbreviations are kind of helpful. You can do hallway or corridor. I like hallway for houses and corridors for commercial spaces. It just feels more appropriate. Now the dining room is kind of a formal space, so it does get the room. But it's not what I've done. I'll just do dining. Okay, so you can be as formal or non-formal as you want. Living. This is the entry. And you can do entry or entryway. And this is a porch, not a patio. They get treated a little bit differently. This would be the home office. Let's call it a library. That's a little more generic, believe it or not. Now, if you have an actual library in a house, there's an actual definition for what a library is. An actual library must have a minimum of 1,000 books. And I actually have that in my house. We actually have an official library. We could check books out if we wanted to. This is the water closet. 2 words. I might get myself a little tight here on this one. Okay. Now you'll see this also just called toilet room. I don't like the word toilet. Toilet is a word that means fragrant water, and not cool on that. This is going to be probably the linen closet. So we'll just do linen on that. Now you can rotate these. As long as they're readable from the bottom of the page or the right, that's fine. So I'm just going to rotate this 9 degrees to the left, and it just fits better. It just makes things a little nicer, and I can move the tag here for the door. So good there. The wash. Do laundry here as well. Actually, listen to capital W / the washer dryer, which is already labeled. which is kind of crazy. So let's just do laundry. Barely fits in there. It's a little tight, but it works at this point. This is a closet. For that room. And again, moving the door tag just so things are readable, which gets a little tight and as we get going on this. All right, this is going to be a W double period WI period C period hers. And the reason I'm doing that hers on this side, there's a reason for that. Occasionally, people want windows in their closets, and because you get that natural light in, you also get street light. So if you're getting dressed and it's dark, it's a little easy. Might make more sense to make that his, but they can make that determination later if they don't like my designation, or they'll tell me about it at our next meeting. And believe me, they will. Okay, there's his and hers. And I might switch that back and forth, but that's okay. And then again, I still like the term master. I don't think of it as a slavery thing. I know it was a big part of the press for a long time. It could be primary bedroom, which is kind of the term we've kind of moved to now. So I'll just go with that, primary bedroom. All right, that labels the, oops, we forgot one more around down here. We can't forget our all-important garage. So this is going to be our 2-car garage. Okay. All righty, there it is. That's all labeled now. And so we can do that. Now, once that's labeled, now I've got to move on to the dimensioning. And this is where it gets to be a little bit more tedious. And I do expect you to do it correctly and the way I want you to do it. Okay. So dimensioning is really, we're making these drawings so legally binding. It is imperative that you get everything dimensioned on them. It is so important. All right. So we are going to move into the annotation tab, and our dimensioning is over here on the left. We're going to use everything in aligned. Now, when you click on the aligned, it's going to pop up there some settings, and we want to make sure we get the right settings on this. Okay, so in your template, you have several dimensions, and I would like you to use the linear 3/32 Arial with the line leader. Yeah, with the line leader, and with the text above the dimension line. So that's kind of what we're then go with here. And I'm going to start here in the front of the house, and we'll work our way around. So I start from the outside and work in. A lot of people start from the inside and work out. That's what's in the introduction video, is that backwards way. So I guess I do it because it's how I do it with pencil. Is if you start from the inside, well, maybe it is better that way. Okay, we'll start with that. We'll do the inside and go out. We're going to start with the outermost edge of our building. So whatever edge that is, that's the farthest to the left or the right. You can go left, right, left. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to run that all the way over to the far right. Now, this is the overall dimension. This is used by the excavators, the people digging the hole. I'm going to bring that out in front of the building and just place it there. And I look, and I've got 69 7.5 inches. I wish that was an actual 8. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but that's okay. So that's the first thing you then do. You then do that all 4 sides. So then we then go from this far point to this point, and that's going to come out to the side. And I'd probably be more concerned about spacing if you couldn't move everything so easily, but it does move pretty easy. Then we're going to go from this side all the way over to the farthest point and do that for the back. So everything gets treated the same. We very much redundant on the dimensioning, and there's a purpose for that because not everybody on the job site gets the same sheets. So I want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. All right, there are my overall dimensions on all four sides. Then I do corners. Now, typically, I'll do one side at a time and keep working my way around instead of doing all four. It's a preference. It's whatever you want to do on this, okay? So now I'm going to do corners. So I start with my same starting point. These dimensions need to line up. I go from one corner to the next. There's that corner. And then without hitting the right mouse button or the enter key, I just keep going to corners. And corner, and corner, and one more to go, and corner. And then I pull that down so it's above my overall string, and I place that. And boom, it's right there. Now, if you hit this EQ, this equal button, it'll shift everything to be equal sized. All your walls will move, your windows will move, everything will move. Just only do that if you intend to make everything equal. Okay, now I've got my overall and my corners. Now I do openings. So back in again, starting at the same starting point, and I'm going to do the outside openings of each door. And there's different firms do it different ways. Okay, so if I do outside, I'm just going to go to each of the outside edges, grab the corner again, so I have a base. Then that goes back to the overall and the corner and the opening of the door and the corner. It's getting a little cluttered. Your string just keeps going. Then the overall and the corner and the outsides and the corner. And I pull all of that down. Now this is kind of a little busy. Okay, cool. Now, here's the other method for doing that. And I'll just kind of show here the garage. You start again at the overall, but instead of doing the openings, you can go to the center. And then the problem is then you get how do you measure this portion of the wall? Okay, so that's really where it gets to be a little troublesome is what do you do when you get to these walls? Okay, so what I would, it just kind of muddies it up. There's a really good reason for doing the center in this, so it would look like this because you're just doing doors and windows, not the wall. By doing it that way, if the client decides to change the size of the door or the size of the window, you're changing the door and the window. You don't change the position of the dimension. It stays the same. The center is the center is the center. But really, it's easy enough to fix now with the BIM programs. It's just not really always worth it to do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Now, in some textbooks, if you have a wall, and I'll show you here on the side with that, you may want to come in. The doors are pretty well set in their size, but notice how it's grabbing different things. These doors have panels on them, and so you gotta make sure you then do the center. Each of these windows are sized on the schedule for them. The window schedule, sorry. On the window schedule is the sizes. I just need to make sure the framing is open enough that we know where they then go. Interior doors, when you're on the inside, we never dimension those. Ever, ever, ever. Okay, there's rules on where those go. So we don't have to worry about it. They're always going to be 3 inches from the corner, minimum. I prefer 4. 4 is my preference. It's easier. Your trim works better, so much better. And then they always swing into the room against the wall. So we don't need to dimension interior doors. We need to size them, and that's what the schedules are for on there. All right, so let's go. There's some information I need to get that I can't get over here. So let's look what that's going to be. I'm going to go on my start corner, and we're going to do the corners next. I can't get this corner because it's in behind this one. So I have to get this corner, and then I can get this corner, and that's going to seem kind of weird. And I'll show you why. So we're going to have to do a little bit extra work here. So when I pull that string over, and again, it's going to go to the left of the one you already have. We got 1/4 inch numbers. Yuck. Okay, this value, this 7 foot 8 3/4, that works fine. Ooh, no, it does not. I did not get the right face. Look at where that dot is. If I need to change it, use the middle dot, the one on the extension line, not the end point. So then I have to go to modify. Got to fix this. It's important. Grab that dot and pull it to where it's supposed to be. Okay. Don't move the endpoint. It'll just shift your dimension. Okay, now over here, I have no idea how long this wall is. So I need to add a dimension for that. So face here, out to the face, so we can verify the size of that wall. Likewise, I need to do the same thing inside the porch here. So there's that 6 foot there. And then I need to know this length as well. So you may think, oh, they can figure it out. Don't ever expect someone to just figure it out. They will not do that. Okay, it just doesn't work that way. As much as we like it to, it just doesn't work. Pull that out a little bit more. There we go. And I'm just going to shift this over just a little bit so it's easier to read. Got a lot of lines going on there. Okay. So you want to make sure it's always readable. Now, if from the side here, I don't have any windows here, and there's no windows here. So I'm not going to start from the beginning again. I'm going to start here at this corner, and we're going to dimension from there to the windows. So that's going to go, again, I'm going to the outside opening of each window. Again, you could do centers, but it does get a little bit harder to get all the information you need in a concise manner. So we go there and then to the outside, and we pull that one over. Okay, so now I have that dimension. Now these are kind of pretty far away from the house, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these in a little closer. And this is why I don't worry about it too much. Is it's so easy to fix after the fact that it's not worth stressing over. There's enough stress in life. I don't need to worry about that. So I'm just trying to eyeball them so they're all equal. And I do mean eyeball it. Don't get too hung up on it. Okay. Now the back is the same way, more the same. We're gonna go the overall. And the overall is a little tricky. It's clear down here with the garage. So we gotta grab that, because we'll make sure everything is within the boundaries we're setting. So that goes there. I already did the overall. I should be doing corners. Huh. Well, you know where I'm going. That's a good thing. Knowing where to go and where to get there. Corner is what we're working on here, is corners. So I'm going to grab this one. Then I grab this one. And one more, which is this one, which again is misleading because it's not quite accurate in there. If we look at it, bring those up. That bay window is definitely more than 1 and 11 inches, 1 foot 11 inches. So I'll tell you how we're going to adjust this here in just a minute. It does have to be addressed. So we'll have to come back to that. All right, then we've got openings. And so we're going to come back here. Again, I do the outsides. It's just simpler. I'm not a complicated person. Some people think I am, but I really am not. And then over to here. And again, you do have the option of measuring to the center of those doors and windows. All right, things are looking okay. Kind of messy. Got a lot of overlapping information. Now, just like in the front, I don't know the length of these walls, so I have to place it in there. And I'm going to do it on both sides because they are not always equal. You can't assume that they'll always be equal. So do both sides so that everybody knows what's going on there. And then we're going to do the left side now. And we'll start with the outside edge here. And we're going corners again. Okay, so let's come to this corner. Now I can try and grab that. Let's try and get it. This endpoint right here, and then go across to the next one. If you can, it will help immensely because it is going to give us information we need to figure out that angle, and that is important. So we need to know that angle. All right, and coming down here, and then sliding those over. We'll kind of do some cleanup here in just a minute. Now that's my corners. Now I got windows. Well, golly gee, we got some windows here on this one. So again, starting point, edge of window, coming back down to the wall. I can't do the edge of this angled window, but I've got to get the exact same endpoint for here. Then this window, we'll come back to those angled windows in a moment, because that's what we're going to do. Get that endpoint and that edge there, and then another window and another edge, and now the door, and back to the outside edge. All right, that's all of our windows. Okay, so that puts those in. Now, extra dimensions, I need to know what this one is. So from here to here, I need to know what's going on here. So I need to go from here to the endpoint, and then I go from edge to wall, just so I have that referencing all set up. If I do it on one, I can imply that it's the same on both and not do anything else. Okay, that's my exterior dimensions. All right, we're doing pretty good. Let's go back to our beginning one. Look at how cluttered though this is. Oh my goodness, so cluttered. There's a couple things we're going to do real quick to fix that and make it a little simpler, because that will be kind of essential. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our manage. We're going to go to additional settings, down to annotations, temporary dimensions. And we're going to make sure we're doing what the settings are here. That's kind of just to verify things. And then we're going to go over to project units, still in manage. And I'm going to have you select, go find length, and select the 1 foot 5 3/8 button. It's a button. And you're going to round it to the nearest ½ inch. Now, some teachers will tell you it's going to be an inch. That's too much flexibility. You got to have some kind of bounds. They'll measure to a ½ inch. They won't do an 1/8 and a quarter, and they definitely won't do 16th, not for framers. But they will do a ½ inch. And then you're going to suppress 0 feet. So like I've got 0 feet 10 inches. That 0, if I Xerox this page, could look like a 6, it could look like an 8. It just depends on what's going on there. So suppress that. And as soon as you hit OK and OK, it's going to start cleaning itself up a little bit. Boom. Oh, so much easier to read. All of a sudden, much easier to read. Now, I still have to go over it and make sure there's not areas that do need some attention. And there usually is at least one. And again, I'm looking for lines to go through things, lines overlapping. This is a little problematic here with the window symbols. So I'm just going to move them over and move this one over. And that's just because we've got this small little angle here, that 8.5. Okay. Oh, there is one area right there. Everything's kind of combobulated there. So here's the fix. Select the dimension, grab the blue dot underneath the text, and pull it up and out, and it'll create a leader that shows you where it goes. So it makes it now readable. Okay, now you can put that kind of low if you want, just kind of make it look pretty. Be controlling. Now we got a lot of them along here because bay windows will always have issues. So this one to pull down and over. And same thing with this one, down and over. And I don't worry about the padlock because it won't print. And we're going to do the same thing here. And on the other side, actually probably this one. Probably pull this one down. Yeah, that's a bit better. All right, so now everything's readable. That's our exterior dimensions. Wow. Whew, making progress. Okay, we're going to do this on your second floor and your basement. Same process. Always the same. Now I'm going to do interior walls. Your job is to identify the location of every single interior wall. The easiest way to do this is to break it up by walls that are going vertical and walls that are going horizontal. So I'm going to do a series of horizontals. I do need to make a couple of changes. Not too much. I don't think architecture. Let's see. Annotate, align. I'm going to start with the inside edge on this side here. I don't worry too much about like the bay window because I've dimensioned it already. So this have a starting point. Always start with an exterior wall. I'm going to bring that over to the corner. And no, I'm not. I'm just going to measure it from there to there. And I get zoom up so you can get to the center of the wall, center wall, center wall. Move over to the next one, center this wall, this wall, this wall. And we've got one more closet to go through. And here, and then to the face of the wall again. Now zoom back out a little bit. You want to place these where they are the most readable. So I'm going to pull that, probably up. Right where the word pantry is. Isn't that great? That's fine. It actually is okay. So I'm going to place it right there. Maybe. There it goes. Let's click it on its own text. And then move the pantry label. So I always put my room labels in first so I can work around it. It's just easier. And, there's a mistake there. I'm going to have to redo this string because somehow it grabbed onto the, let's see, this 9-inch should not be here. And I don't think I can take it out. Nope, it's all or nothing. Boom, there it's gone. That was so much fun, guys. Got to do that again. So much fun. I just need it one more time. Okay, from there, from that stud to there, I went and grabbed this one, and then this one, and then we got these over along here. And yes, I'm going to the middle of the wall. It does give the contractor a little bit of wiggle room on things, and they do appreciate that, believe it or not. All right, now I got to place that text again, and right there looks good. Okay, so now I've got the text in. There's a little bit of difference here because this wall is not perfectly centered, which is fine. I could take this value and just plop it down so it's easier to read there. Again, that's what I'm looking for. I want these easy to read. I don't want to, go blind trying to read your dimensions. Okay, so we have that series done. The next set of lines, I'm going to run down right through here with another string so you can follow suit with that if you choose. Let's start from the wall to the center of the wall. And again, if you can't get the center, zoom closer. It is a very peculiar thing. And it's getting late in the day. There's a 2-6 wall there. And now we're up here at the linen closet. So I'm going to grab, I'm going to grab the linen closet wall. Just looking at the wall I missed down there below, how I'm going to treat that. It's always thinking ahead, which is, difficult. It is difficult. Right there. And come across here to this one. And then to our finished home. Now I got to place this where it's readable. And that is where it gets really tricky. So I think right there is as good as it's going to get. And I just want to do a glance over, make sure everything's there. Okay, so that takes care of this wall and 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 this wall. Okay, pretty good. I got a few more walls to put in. Them have to do individual, and that would be starting by horizontals. So I'm going to go horizontally through here, and then go to the center. That was not the center. If it doesn't look right, stop. Don't keep going. Stop and fix it before you can't. Because the more you have to fix, the less you get done. Okay, so now I go to my closet. That tells me where this wall is. I now know where that wall is. And I am going to actually stop there, mainly because there's no point going on. It's already dimensioned with the exterior. All right, so let's shift that dimension line to there and shift this text up just a little bit. Okay, so that gets this portion. Then I'm going to come over on this side and get this one. So I'm going to run a few strings, and it's better to have more than not enough. So I'm going to start from the outside. Always start from an outside wall, never an inside wall. And because the outside walls are already built by the time they start to do the interior, and they need to know. Okay, and all the way across, and pull that over so as it not to interfere. And you got to look at the whole thing. Don't just assume anything. And I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to move the title. That's the beauty. These things move so easy. And up here, it's a little confusing, so I'm just going to shift this text up and fix that. Okay, so that takes care of this wall's location. And now we got what's going on down here. Now, I'm going to do I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go right through the bath here, because that's going to give me the biggest bang for my buckaroon. And I'm going to start right here. And that's going to come up to this center line. To this center line. And then that goes up to the next one. And now I got this wall located. And then up to the top of the closets. And all the way across to home base, which I guess is in a lot of trouble right now, but that's okay. And place that right there. And then just go through, make sure you can read all the values. So if you have to move a room title, those are the easy fixes. Yep, that will do. That is fully dimensioned main floor. All right. Now I am going to add a couple more though, just because I just noticed them. So I know where the closets are because they're dimensioned, but I don't know where they are in relation to the laundry. So from here to here to here, I need that dimension. I mean, it's there. It's just, I guess it is there. We'll just get rid of it. Oops, wrong one. Got rid of the shelves. It's already there. I just didn't catch it. Yeah, we're good. Everything's dimensioned. Alrighty, guys. Excuse me. Alrighty, everybody. Go to work. Second floor, same as the first. Basement, same as the first. Okay. Oh, one thing I almost forgot. Do this for me. I need you to give me one exterior wall thickness. And do that well. Not what I just did there. And again, you'll need to probably pull that font over. And so we have that. And this is just a typical wall. So you can do some text. We're going to start doing a lot more text here. A little text box in there. And we're going to do in all caps, TYP period. Whoa, my periods went crazy. Now, that does not match the font of the dimension. So the dimension font, if we look at that in the edit type, it is 3/32, and that's what we're going to look at. It's the font style. So we find font, bold, dark, black. There's a font, Arial 3/32. Okay, so take your font of your text, and let's go find Arial 3/32. So we got 3/32 stylus, but not Arial. So let's take the 3/32 stylus, edit that, and we then duplicate it, change the name to Arial. Whoa, crazy. Got my cap locks on. There we go. Hit OK there. Come down to the font and hit the down arrow, and it should scroll all the way back up to the A's. All the fonts that are on your computer will be listed here. So if it's loaded on or being used, it's there. There's Arial right there. Apply and OK. Okay, so now I have that font that I can use that matches the other. I need you to do one exterior wall. I need you to do an interior wall, just a regular 2x4 partition. And again, just to move that off the line so it's readable. And one wet wall. Now, you may have done all your toilets on the exterior, in which you would not need to do this. Yay, you guys. But if it's not an exterior wall, and it's just your 2x6 partition, you need to dimension it and give you a typical dimension. Okay, and so we're going to take this text and put that up just because it's easier. And I'm going to add text under it. So text, little text box there. Switch it to the Arial. Maybe after I get done, I guess. This is going to be wet wall. It should be all caps. And I click off of that. And I need to change it. And we go here. Arial 32nd. And then we can move it where we need it. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. I kind of drifted off there a little bit. There is the notes, starting of our notes. We have a lot more notes to add to this, so get ready to type a lot. But that finishes your dimensions. So now, go get them all done.